In this video, we replaced the rear shocks and springs on an F-Series Mini Cooper.
The car is in park, and park and brake is on.
Without removing the bolts, break all bolts on all wheels loose before jacking the Mini up, front and rear. This will let us remove the wheels once the Mini is up off the ground. See my other video on safely and reliably getting the Mini up in the air. The short takeaway is that the Mini doesn't have easily accessible jack points on the bottom unless you jack from the pads on the sides first. And at that point, your jacks are under the pads, so how do you put your jack stands in? So in that video we show you how you can get the Mini off the ground with 2 jacks and 4 jack stands, and 4 wooden blocks if you build wooden blocks, or 3 jacks and 4 jack stands if you don't build wooden blocks. If you don't build wooden blocks, you can use a jack on each side. Then the third jack supports the jack point in the middle underbody, while you remove the side jacks and put jack stands there. Repeat that for the rear. If you build wooden blocks, you jack using 2 jacks from the sides, place the wheels on the blocks, then jack from the middle under the body to lift the front or rear, remove the blocks under the wheels, and place the Mini down on jack stands on the sides. Moving on to the rear wheels, we remove the first wheel.
So now inside there's a wheel well liner, and we're going to remove the nuts that secure it around the rear shock here. We're not going to take the wheel well liner off unless you really want to, but we're just going to bend the wheel well liner back to reach the bolt holding the shock. And these are 10 millimeters. There's also one here at the top. Like so. And removing those 5 nuts was sufficient with getting access to the bolts to remove the shock at the top. Unfortunately, they are not simple bolts. They are external Torxes, which is why I'll link it in the description on how to remove external Torx. Our handy German drawer, German car drawer, and external Torx. In the front we needed an E14, but in the back it is an E12. The lines. Oh, that's really easy. Easy. To remove the bottom shock bolt, it is a 16 millimeter. Yeah, it wants to compress it sooner than break loose. WD-40. There we go. Using quite a long breaker bar, like so. There we go. That shock comes right out. Some of these initial threads are just gone. Great. We're not just going to stupidly reinstall this, we're going to rethread this using a kit, and I will show you. I don't know how I missed this. I was so lucky this was not a 16 millimeter and I didn't strip it. This was a E-Torx something which I don't even have. It's probably an even bigger E-Torx than what I have. Now we're supposed to disconnect these lines for slack, just so it gives us room to work with. See, the top one's already not in there. It just pops right out. Same with the top line here. This line just gets pulled out like so, wiggled out. Likewise with the bottom one, just gets wiggled out this way. Cool. Brake wear sensor, wheel speed sensor. And in post, we did wiggle out this brake line. It just wiggles out this way. So does this one, it just wiggles out up, like so, for extra slack as well. This line you don't need to bother with because it's just a parking brake line, it's metal. This one you should disconnect at the bottom just in case. Next, we're going to disconnect this sway bar link up top. I'm going to give it a nice soak. 16 millimeter. Oh, now that broke loose. It is a T30. Cool. Okay, for not the jack from the rotor shield, you want to jack in the suspension component below. There we go. This doesn't pop right out because it's held in place at the bottom. There we go. We removed it. Now that's going to go up or down, so let's bend that out of the way. Now we're going to disconnect this upper control arm bolt, holding the upper control arm to the whole suspension setup. 18 millimeters on nut on the right. On the left, it is a E14. Torques I'm holding in place. This I'm using a adapted breaker bar. There we go. There we go. Now for the fun part, we're going to remove the murder slinky. Disconnecting everything should have given us the clearance we need. Pull down on the rotor and pull it out like so. Careful, I hit my fingers here against this, so I want to be careful. Note the way it was oriented.
With one hand, you push down on the rotor and get the spring loosely seated, and then you get a crowbar and push against the Torx bolt on the right to help push everything down. And that kind of gives you more space, and then with your left hand, you're supposed to twist and turn it into position. It takes finessing, it takes strength, this is a little frustrating, it doesn't immediately happen, and yeah, be prepared, morally, mentally, physically. But you got this.
So I eventually got it in. I basically crowbarring against this torque bolt at the top while pressing on it with my right arm, having the crowbar stuck in there, wiggling with my left arm, and then both arms wiggling, basically wiggling the spring. It got caught on this rubber at every point. I would just shift it over, get it on, and when it's mostly on, you grab it with both hands and gloves and rotate the spring so that it seats better on this and seats better at the bottom here. From the left side, you can kind of see where everything for that first bolt is. There we go. Peel back the wheel well liner a bit more. Now I'm just going to tighten those guys up. If you will recall, they were not super tight before, which makes sense because the vehicle's weight is basically securing these in. So all they do is they hold it in position. Yeah, there's not much tightening left to do. They do not have to be super tight. You don't want to strip it. So here we need a 16 millimeter that I don't have. I'm checking that the shock's not crushing the wires on this side. And where do I want it? I want it aligned here. So I'm just getting a jack under it. I'm jacking such that the spring gets a little compressed and aligns with this. Here we go. Almost there, like so. Looks aligned more or less.
First off, I really struggled with this bolt because the shock went this way and the bolt hole went this way, so alignment was an issue. Eventually, I got it in, but I had to retap it. But another problem was that the bolt and hole were very rusted. I used a tap and die set, and I believe the threads were M14 x 1.25 on both the bolt, and I used a drill bit adapter to put the tap onto the drill bit and then drill into the existing hole, and that let the bolt actually go in. After persuading the threads to get re-emphasized on the hole, I lubricated the bolt and then quickly re-encouraged the threads on the bolt as well, as shown. You have to be really careful at this step, especially on the hole, because you don't want the threads stripping and you don't want the bolt falling out and the shock falling out. So after you put the bolt in, you definitely want to make sure that the threads are good. As you're tapping, you still want to make sure that the threads are good again so that the bolt doesn't come out. Talking in circles, but it's important to reinforce that you want the threads to be good. And when you actually fix the threads, clean away the rust and stuff, the bolt goes in no problem and stays in. You can kind of pull on the shock to check. Now we're supposed to use a crowbar to leverage this down or move this up to reinstall this upper control arm in this bracket here. Not forgetting the metal bracket that came off. This guy. So to get this bolt in, my neighbor helped me. Basically, you need one guy to pull on the rotor a little bit, while the other guy crowbars the right side so that the holes align. Then you gotta yank on the rotor, hammer this guy in with a rubber mallet while this bracket is on the bolt and you're putting it through and you're malleting it through. And it takes a bit of finessing. You gotta pull down on this while you push down on that, mallet it in, pull a little out on this to get this line up, and it's a whole adventure. And you can use a crowbar on the right side when this side doesn't line up, but this side did. And eventually, 10 minutes later, we managed to get this bolt back in. Now we just install the sway bar link using the jack under the lower control arm to line this up, put it through and thread it on. It is 16 millimeters. Now above and below, we'll reinsert the lines where they can go. Like here, these guys go back in, but at the top we see that they won't go back into those mounts, which is okay. And then we'll reseat the brake line in the back where possible, but not give ourselves a hard time about it. And if they don't go in, you can use silicone lubricant to grease them up before they go in. Congratulations, at this point we're basically done with one side. We button up the felt liner with the 10mm nuts and reinstall the wheel. The other side was straightforward until the sway bar link. Here we loosened the felt liner, got the shock out and the bottom shock bolt without rust, no problem. On the other side, no matter what we did, my neighbor helped, we could not get this guy off. It even snapped a T30 inside. It was stripping a nut, as you can see. So if this happens to you and you have a stuck sway bar link, we're discussing cutting this off, buying a replacement sway bar link. I'm sure they're not that expensive, but then you have to wait for it to come in and stuff. Or once you've jacked it up and relieved the pressure on the sway bar link, you just simply torque it hard enough for the other side and disconnect it here. And that seems to be a bolt that doesn't spin through here. So that lets you disconnect a stuck sway bar link if in the rear you have difficulty getting it off. Quick tip, but now that lets us bend it out of the way. Docile, work with it. Don't need to disconnect that one at the top and cut it or anything. Shock bolt was not stripped, so getting it in was straightforward, and the angles were friendly on this side. This piece falls out, it's fine, you just push it back in. This also requires even more bending of the rotor to get this in, and you need help. You need a second pair of hands to pull the rotor back / this thing.
while getting, because the bolt holes like end up here, not back here. So you really need to apply force this way to get this even remotely close to back on.
Eventually, my dad and I maneuvered this bolt back in, and at that point you button everything up and you're good to go. Also see my channel and Mini Cooper playlist for all maintenance videos and for the mild off-road build. If this has helped, please consider a super thanks on the video for the time spent making this video and consider subscribing. Thank you.